Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to our West Coast friends. We're excited to bring you this next presentation. We have a long, proud relationship with 3M, and when they volunteered to do this for us, it was a great boost for us because we know that they have a lot to offer, a lot of information, and especially in their world, information is king because there's a lot of confusion out there. So I want to introduce Marc and Angela. Please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat room. We will log them, and at the end, we will do a Q&A with them and monitor it. So, Angela, would you please start?
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Don, and thank you to Reece Supply for hosting us in our Graphics 101 event, and thank you all for attending. We're going to learn a little bit more about the fundamentals of film, and understanding the basics of film construction will help you choose the correct film for your project to ensure the success on your job. All right, so the first thing to mention, there's basically two ways to manufacture vinyl film, and that is cast and calendered. The differences between these films are pretty crucial in determining which film to use for your specific project. So cast film, let's talk about that one first. That is basically, you're going to start with a liquid, and the liquid is going to be poured into the maker, the vinyl maker, and it's going to go through a series of a couple of ovens, and it's going to get baked. And because it's heated and cured and it begins as a liquid, it's going to maintain its integrity throughout its life. So using a cast film is going to give you a longer life of the film, so it's not going to shrink over time. And then for calendered, this is, you also hear this referred to as like an intermediate film. So calendered film is, it actually starts as a solid. So it's more like a pizza dough instead of the pancake, like the cast film. And it goes through a series of rollers, and that's how it's basically flattened to the size that we make it during that process of going through the rollers. And because it's not baked, and it starts out as a solid and it's basically just flattened, it will shrink back over time. So it's really more of a shorter term film. And there are different types of calendered film. You may hear monomeric and polymeric, but basically the two essential ways to manufacture them are cast and calendered. So again, cast film is going to be your longer term, and calendered is going to be the shorter term. All right, and now we're going to jump into our 3M Controltac Technology. And so what the Controltac Technology is it has tiny posts in the adhesive, and that allows the film to be pressure activated. And what that means is that you'll be able to slide the film around and get it exactly where you want it. And then once you squeegee that film, it's going to get locked in place. And so this is different than some other types of films out there, in that you don't have to heat it to get that bond to the substrate. You're basically just squeegeeing it. You do still want to heat it. The reason you'd want to heat it is when you go around corners or curves, or you're in deep recesses, you're heating it so it will kill its memory. And you want it to not go back, to the flat form that it was in. So you're heating it to just kill that memory.
If I could just make a quick comment on that, Angela.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so a good point there is it's strictly pressure activated. So if it's a flat surface like a hood or the side of a door or something like that, once you apply pressure to a Controltac film, those posts dissipate into the adhesive, and you get 100% bond to that surface. There's other films out there nowadays. Everybody has their own version of a slidability technology, but what causes that slidability differs from manufacturer to manufacturer. And what Angela is saying is, ours is strictly pressure activated, whereas there are others out there that are pressure and heat activated, requiring a much more, laborious install.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Okay, now we'll jump into Comply technology. So what Comply is they're basically tiny microscopic air channels that are formed into the adhesive, but what forms those air channels is the embossed liner. So the liner of the film is going to have an embossed pattern in it, and that's going to give temporary little air channels in the adhesive that is going to allow you to squeegee out all of the air bubbles of the film. And that's going to give you a watertight graphic. And so that C that you'll see in the name of the film, that actually stands for Comply. So that's this technology. It's not Controltac, it's Comply. All right, and then we have a few different Comply patterns. So there's a basic C pattern, which was the original pattern that 3M came out with. And it's a grid like you see on the left. And then we developed the CV3 pattern, which is a little more organic pattern. And then we received a lot of feedback from installers that they didn't want to be able to see that pattern in the film, and so we came out with a microscopic Comply pattern, which is MC. So really the deciding factor for which Comply pattern you're going to use would be the installer preference, but you also might consider what your application is. So let's say you have a boat and you're trying to determine, which one to use. The C pattern has, the wider lines. You might be a little more susceptible to get water behind that film if you went with the regular C. So you might want to choose the MC, Micro Comply. However, if you have a bunch of fleet, you're not as concerned about that, and you just want a fast, quick, installation. And so you might go with the regular C pattern. But, essentially the installer preference is the key thing. All right, let's talk about our naming conventions. We have prefixes. So a lot of times you'll see IJ, that stands for inkjet printable. If you see SV, that is specific to solvent printers. And then LX would be specific to latex printers. So you need to make sure you specify, the right version for what type of printer you have. And then the base film is going to be either that 2-digit or 3-digit number in the middle. So if it's 2-digit, typically that's calendered. 3-digit is going to be cast, so more of the longer term film. And then the Comply pattern is what's going to come next. So that would either say C or CV3 or MC. And then the suffixes, -10 always means gloss white, -20 is matte white, and then -114 is going to be transparent. So you could even have, calendered film that has -114, and you could have a cast film that has -114. That's always going to let you know that that's going to be a transparent film. And then -120 is always going to mean metallic. And then we also have other suffixes that indicate other characteristics of the film. So you could have a -10 SLS would be a stainless steel version of that film. So the adhesive and UR would be ultra removable. So these are all examples of indicators in the naming convention of each of our films and why we name them the way we do. And then with the overlaminates, if an overlaminate, it'll usually be like a 4-digit number. If it ends in an 8, then it's going to be gloss. If it ends in a 9, it's luster, and a 0 is always matte. And again, any questions you all have on any of this, please put that in the chat and we'll be sure to answer all of your questions. Yes?
We are hearing that we lost sound. Marc, will you say something?
Yeah, I was cutting in, but I didn't want to cut Angela off, so maybe that's what people are hearing.
Okay. If somebody could respond, can you hear us now?
Can you hear me?
Hit reconnect at the top of the video is what Mandy just said. Sounds like it's okay. People are sounding like they're getting it back.
We're good?
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's saying
okay,
yes.
let us know. Let us know if there's a problem.
Yeah, and one comment to add to this is, you don't have to be an expert in understanding the breakdown of every product code, but the more familiar you get with it, when you see a spec come across your desk from an architect or something like that, and you see IJ180, you immediately go, okay, 3 digits cast. You can start pricing out the job in your head the more familiar you get with our naming conventions, because you can quickly understand what kind of film is being called out. So, and again, these are rules of thumb. So there's obviously exceptions to it, right? There's IJ 3555, which is a calendared film, but it's a 4-digit base film. So I'd say 85-90% of the films follow these rules, but of course, like anything, there's exceptions. So again, if you ever have a question about product selection, it's best to reach out to your local 3M rep.
Right. Okay. So Marc has actually put together these wonderful resources for you all, and these files are going to be loaded for you all to download and keep. These are our product selection tools. So we have a few different pages of this. The first one, you're going to see windows, so whether it's opaque, clear, or perforated. And then you're going to see a good, better, and best category. That's going to be give you a good idea of the longevity of that film selection and over laminate combination. You'll see all of that information over to the right. Anything you see in blue is going to be a direct hyperlink to our technical product bulletins. So if you want to learn a little more information about any of those products, you can pull that product bulletin and have all the details right there. And then the next page is going to have textured walls, smooth walls, floors, and signage. Same setup. And then the third page is going to have, lettering or partial decals, wraps, and reflective. And one thing I want to note, any time on any of our literature or any of these bulletins or anything where you see that little green leaf over to the right, so say under wraps, you'll see that over to the right under the best category. Those are going to be PVC-free product solutions, which have a Green Guard certified certificate with those. So those are great options. It's just, it's a different technology, higher performance film, but it's also environmentally friendly. So it's great for use in a lot of varieties of applications, also for schools and hospitals, things like that, where they're looking for PVC-free products.